welcome to episode 1 of the DopeChick's spiritual journey. And let me just tell you all something. I am excited beyond measure because my first guest epitomizes everything that I wanted this podcast to be. And just to kind of let you all know, the podcast is really about everyday women making everyday decisions, but are bold and it's inspirational. And they're not really like settling, right? So all of my interviews are going to be based around dopeness, divine, on point, prosperous, and evolving women. So I know this woman very, very well. So I actually am not going to do any of her introduction because I know her, but I want you all to know her. What I can tell you is I have known her for, how long have we known each other, T?
Over 20 years?
Over 20 years, definitely. Probably close to 25, I would say, maybe,
I
possibly.
think.
I think so.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
yes. Yes, absolutely. And in those 25 years, she has transformed as a woman. But when I tell you her inspiration and her wisdom is going to have you watching this podcast over and over and over again, it's no lie. So, Tanorah, please tell the people like who you are, what you do, and then we're going to jump into all this dopeness.
All right. So welcome everyone. It's a pleasure to meet you, greet you. First, let me say I am a native New Yorker because the Big Apple will always be my hometown. Currently living in the DMV. I am a licensed mental health therapist and a certified life coach. I am a mom of 2 girls, ages 11 and 15, and the daughter of 2 magnificent parents who I am blessed to say are still here in physical form.
Amen.
And I'm excited to be on today to talk about my journey and to inspire the masses.
Yeah. So one of the reasons, let's jump right in, because one of the reasons why I wanted you to be first is we were hanging out, right, during the pandemic. We formed our sister circle. For those of you out there who don't have a sister circle, you make sure and you go and you get one. You get a tribe, and ours is the High Vibe Tribe.
Yes.
And during the pandemic, for some of you who know, my mom was suffering with lung cancer, and I was going through it. And my High Vibe Tribe showed up. We would connect every week. We would get on calls. We would talk. We would cry together.
Yes.
Read scripture together, laugh together, and just build each other up. And I call her T, so sorry, Tanorah would always just have these amazing jewels to drop. And we were hanging out, and she shared something to me that was the epitome of divinity, right? So I said, dope, divine, on point, prosperous, and evolving. She shared something to me that I was like, man, that is so divine, right? Who does that? And Tanorah, you shared that you made a decision as a mother that you were separating in your relationship, and that relationship was coming to an end, your marriage. And somewhere, somehow in that process, you made a decision to do what? Like, just share. I know what it is, but I want you to share in your own words.
Yeah, so I had been married to my ex-husband for 12 years, and 5 years ago we uncoupled. And
I love it.
Following the uncoupling, I had our girls full time. My ex-husband had the opportunity to take on a business consulting job that had him often be away. And so I was fully hands-on as a single mom for about 3 years. And prior to us uncoupling, during the very early stages of our daughter's life, my ex-husband was really trying to get himself grounded in his career to really be the kind of provider he always wanted to be. And we had challenges with that. And so post-marriage, those 3 years where I was full-time with the girls, he really had an opportunity to stabilize his career. And now this man is thriving and
Amen.
he is in a position to provide for them like never before.
Wow.
And so there were challenges during that 3-year period for me. And he had reached out to me when things had really gotten solidified for him and offered to take the
Wow.
girls, because now he's in a position to provide in a way that is extraordinary. And we both felt like it was very much needed because they did not have the hands-on experience of their dad in their younger years the way he desired for it to be.
Yeah.
And as a daddy's girl and a woman who values a father's input in his child's life, it mattered to me that they have more of him. And
Mhm.
so there was an opportunity for I'm going to say win-win-win,
Yeah,
for
yeah,
him, for our girls, for myself, because I kind of slowed down a little bit with my business because I was full time with the girls.
yeah.
And so now this gives me the opportunity to thrive in the way that he is. So now he's good. And now I have the opportunity to really explore and expand in terms of what my life coaching practice gets to look like.
Yeah.
And so the big move for me was being a yes to the girls going with their dad, moving in with the father, and him having full custody. And really, I knew that it was the right thing to do, but it was uncommon. I don't know any mothers who are not full-time moms,
Right,
who their kids live with the dad.
right.
And so that probably was the most challenging part. Also, given that who I had been most of my life was someone who was driven by what's considered acceptable. What do people approve of and agree to?
Yes.
And for me to make bold moves in my life that are not common, um, in the face of sometimes no agreement, was pretty big for me, pretty major.
Mm.
Um, and and my soul is good with it. It is good with my
Ooh,
soul.
I love, first of all, I love the my soul is good with it. And I love the connection between it being uncommon,
Yeah.
right? Because you were saying like how many women do we know that are mothers that are not like the primary caregiver,
Yeah.
and just you kind of moving against some societal norms because something deeper down in you was like, this is the right thing to do.
Yeah.
And this is the purpose of this podcast, right? It's
Mhm.
encouraging women to follow that deeper inkling and calling within them, that divinity that I like to say, that we're
Yes.
all born with. We are all born with a sense of divinity that when we connect to our higher power, God, for me, I know some of my viewers may call it universe, they may call it something else. For me, it's God. And for me, at times it was Jesus.
Mhm.
So tell me like or just explain to me like what it was. Like because I know sometimes people ask me, well, sometimes is it a voice? Is it what is it for you? Like what was it for you that lets you know this is right?
For me, it's often emotion. When I want to know how I feel or how God feels, I look to how I feel about it.
Mm.
And I believe God when he said, the plans that I have for you is to prosper you.
Ooh.
And prosperity for me, oftentimes I look to emotional prosperity. What does it mean to be happy and fulfilled? And
Yeah.
if I'm not feeling happy and fulfilled, I have a really low tolerance for that. It is unacceptable because I don't believe that that's how we are meant to live.
Oh.
And so if life is not working,
Oof.
then I need to figure out who I'm being in this that's causing it not to work and what shifts need to happen in order to realign with who I really am, right? Because the mother river cannot pour into the other rivers unless there's an overflow.
Oh, wait a minute. Say that one again and say it nice and slow because I want people to like get that one.
Yes, because this is significant. The mother river
The mother river.
cannot pour into other rivers unless there is an overflow for her first. And I was not overflowing.
Oh.
I was mothering and
Mm.
sometimes coaching and counseling from a place of deficit because I was exhausted from all of the outpouring that I was doing and not getting enough poured in, right?
Mm.
And so the opportunity to gift my kids to their dad full time so that I could restore myself, let me tell you that I am a better mom for it.
Oh my
I
gosh.
have my girls for the summer and we are having a blast. I am more present than I was prior because now I am overflowing. My cup is
Yes.
full.
Yes. So, oh, great question, right? And this is going to happen many times. I'm thinking about the women who are possibly listening or the mothers who may not have a significant other that was willing to say, my turn, tag,
Hmm.
I'm it. And as a coach and a mental health clinician, like, what would you say to those women, right? Knowing that you took this bold risk that kind of bucked against societal norms, but there may be a mother that's like, well, heck, I need, my river is not flowing
Yes,
or
yes.
overflowing. Like, what would you say to them?
A few things. I would ask, what is your passion?
Mm,
Because when you engage with your passion, it fills your cup and it can do it rapidly. Are you giving your energy to the things that light you up, to the things that make you feel inspired, so that you are a beaming light to those around you?
yeah,
I would say do whatever it takes to get the support you need. I mean, I had transportation companies, women who had transportation companies who would pick up my girls and bring them to school or bring them to their extracurricular activities. I had ads put out for like living, almost like a nanny kind of arrangement.
yeah,
But whatever it took to, I mean, I had people coming over to cook. They would put the food in different, containers, and we would have food for the week.
yeah,
I I knew that I could not do it alone and didn't like what doing it alone was looking like for me.
yeah.
And who's benefiting from this? They're not getting the best of me. So doing whatever it takes, being willing to see what you can recruit, what you can delegate so that you're not carrying that weight alone because it's not meant for us to do by ourselves.
But you know what? It's so funny, Tanora. I truly believe our society has done us such a great injustice, particularly women of color, when they keep saying, "Oh, we're so resilient. We're so resilient." And I don't think that's necessarily a badge of honor because our resilience to some degree was born out of like trauma.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
it's almost as if we have an expectation that we are supposed to grin and bear it, carry the
Hmm.
weight, when I don't believe that God intended us to carry these kinds of weights by ourselves. And the word it sounds like you're saying is I like to call it the V word. It's a nasty word that some people don't like to say, but you know the V word. It's called vulnerability, it sounds like.
Absolutely. Yes. Being willing to humble yourself and be vulnerable enough to say, you know what? I need support. Doing this by myself is not working. And that whole mentality of being the last one to go to sleep, the first one to wake up in the morning, going above and beyond, doing more than your share is overrated. We do that, but at what cost?
Mm,
Where's your vitality?
wow.
Where's your joy? Where's the smile on your face? How
Mm,
is it divine in you being expressed if you're exhausted and depleted? So
yeah.
I think that mentality is overrated. I think we need to do away with that. I think we are on the dawn of a new day. And I think we need to be comfortable declaring, each of us, what works for you, because there's no cookie cutter approach. And I think that that's often our error. We're all following a blueprint that was handed to us, and it doesn't always fit everyone. I
No.
think life is meant to be a customized, tailored version of what is a true expression of who you are. And that is what has led me to design the life that I've designed.
Yeah. So what has you stay so on point, right? So with that decision that you made, that was truly led from a divine place, right? Because I said this podcast is about dope women on their spiritual journey, right? Not a destination, not a pause, not a stop on the journey, but the breath of the journey. So when you
Mhm.
look at all of that, right, and you look at where you are now, how like what how did you remain on point, even if not perfect?
That is definitely attributed to my spiritual journey.
Mm,
So to give you a brief description of that, I was raised Catholic, then
mm,
exposed to the Baptist denomination of Christianity, And in my adult life, I studied metaphysics and learned about the law of attraction
Yep.
and this concept of manifestation.
Mm-hmm.
And that really helped to give me a practical sense of the things that Jesus came to teach.
Amen.
And what does that look like in practice? And so for me, that has been meditation so that I stay aligned and in receptive mode with how God is guiding my life.
Yeah.
And upon receiving that guidance, I listen out for more. I respond to where I feel like I'm being led. You know, sometimes the path of least resistance is one that may not seem significant or spiritual, right? So I may have the urge to go get my favorite drink at Starbucks. Doesn't sound like anything like deep and meaningful, right? But while I'm on the line, I may happen to be standing behind the person who is in charge for the grant that I've been seeking for my business. And we end up having a conversation and exchanging numbers. So I just stay tuned to how God is guiding me. I try not to get sidetracked by logic, like, well, what sense does that make? Starbucks, why would I go there? I go and I see what there is for me. And I expect there to be a reason why I'm guided in that direction. And
Mm-hmm.
so that my faith is what has kept me grounded. You know, when I wake up in the morning, I think about how do I want this day to be? I try to pre-pave the segments of my day so that it is a delightful surprise of all the things that I love. And it's an opportunity for me to move according to God's guidance. And that is really what keeps me centered and grounded.
Yeah. And I just, I'm so excited about what this podcast is going to do for people because I think this conversation of faith,
Yeah.
and divinity and life decisions are relevant now more than ever because I truly believe that with technology, we have gotten to this place where everything has to be logical or everything that
Yeah.
is directly presented to us must be fact. And
Mhm.
we miss out on the intangibles of human connection and human experiences that defy logic because
Yes.
there is a higher power at work doing so much, right?
Mhm.
So
Always.
I'm grateful. You mentioned earlier, and I want you to go a little bit deeper on the. You said something about prosperity. When you think of prosperity, you think of emotional prosperity.
Mm.
I have to tell you that is. I've heard prosperity. You hear it all the time, but
Yeah.
that's kind of yeah. It's piquing my interest or has my spirit listening in a different way. What do you mean by that, and how do you help people with emotional prosperity?
So when I say emotional prosperity, I'm speaking of inner joy, of peace
Yeah.
and happiness. And for me, I tend to feel most peaceful when I'm in alignment with myself, when I am honoring my wishes, my desires, and um, I'm not going along to get along.
Woo!
And so a lot of times when people are feeling a little unstable or just out of sorts, as some people would describe it, it's usually because they are tolerating something that doesn't work for them,
Ah,
right? They are accommodating something that's not really a good fit. It could be the workplace, it could be an area that they live in, and maybe the neighborhood is unsafe. It could be a relationship, a health problem. And so we don't have to tolerate things that don't work or don't fit for us. We always have a choice. And
mm,
so for me, emotional prosperity is accessible when you recalibrate to who you are and you begin to honor your own needs. So if my body is aching me, what is that telling me? What is off that needs to be tended to? And a lot of times, as a metaphysician, I believe that it's often rooted in some sort of unresolved emotional or mental concern. And so once you address that, healing naturally occurs
yeah.
because well-being trumps and is always there calling us
Yeah.
to it. And
Mm,
the only time we don't experience it is when we have something in the way. Usually we're off, we're not in alignment in some sort of way.
yeah. It's so
And
Oh, go ahead, go ahead, go ahead, go
And
ahead.
so to answer the other question, how do I teach this to people? My intention is to guide people to their inner voice so that they can tune into the guidance that's there for them. And as they get in tune with that and they get on their own path that is true to them, not about what anybody else is saying they want for them, then they start to get into alignment with who they are and find a sense of peace because now they're living for them. And they know once they come from that place, they can be more for others, whether
Mm.
that be, loved ones in their home and their family, or their network at work, or whoever they are out in the larger community, right? But we can't give our best until we're good.
Oh, that is so good. That is the piece that I think is sticking out to me, and I think it will stick out to a lot of people, is I know for myself physically recently, and I put this in one of my blog posts, um, bread had been doing something to my stomach and I kept ignoring it. Like I was just like, oh, I'm just going to keep eating the bread. I'm just going to keep eating. But the discomfort got greater and greater and greater. And one of the things that the revelation that I got when I stopped eating the bread um, was God was able to deal with me around, ironically, arrogance.
Really?
Yes, because it was almost like God was saying, your arrogance has you continuing to do something that you know is not good.
Got it.
So the discomfort will remain
Yes. Yes.
until you humble yourself to the fact that like this ain't your bag anymore, girl. But it wasn't just
Mm-hmm.
about the food. It was about what other areas in my life was I unwilling to let go because they no longer fit.
Mm.
Kept trying to hold on to them and
Yeah.
it was
Yeah.
creating a different level of discomfort.
Yes. Yes. I get it. And once you release it,
Yeah,
feel better.
I feel better. And it doesn't mean I don't eat bread at all. I'll probably eat maybe half a slice or slice if I'm out or something once a week. But if the greater thing was, I would look at it and I would know what it was going to make, how it was going to make my body feel. And I would, in
Mm-hmm.
my, well, whatever, I'm just going to, but I
Yeah.
was there and still like boldly, like, and then get mad, like, oh, I feel so terrible. Oh, I feel so bloated. Oh, my stomach hurts. Oh, I can't go to the bathroom. So what you're
And
saying is powerful. Go ahead.
and what it's making me think of is a phrase I've often heard from you, being spiritually woke.
Mm,
I think when we tolerate things that don't work for us and we keep going along with that, it's almost like we're choosing to be asleep to the impact that it's having on us. And the moment you decide, you know what, now I'm going to wake up, I'm going to be clear about what's happening and make a decision that's in line with what I see is going on with my body to support myself and honor myself, that's being woke. Every
oh,
time you look at the bread and say, nope, you woke.
you woke. I'm gonna use that. I'm gonna look at that bread when I go to the Lux Cafe or the Cheesecake Factory, and I'm like,
Yes.
nope,
That
I'm
free,
woke
soft, warm bread with that butter.
with that butter. Now, what would really be woke is me to ask them not to bring it to the table.
How about that? Oh, yeah. Yes.
That
Out
would
of sight,
be
out of mind.
out of sight, out of mind. But it's also ownership of the responsibility, right? Like
Yes.
I don't even want it in my space, not because I don't
Mm,
trust myself, but because I just have the power to not want it in my space.
right. Right. Yeah.
Oh, so what's next for you? Like, right? Because it's this divinity, on point prosperity and evolving, right? To me, when I think of women like you evolving, like what's next on this spiritual journey for you? Like what do you see for yourself, your business? Like what is
Yeah.
your greatest desire?
So my business is called Soul Restoration.
Say it again for the people so they can hear it.
Yes, Soul Restoration.
Yes.
And of course, Psalm 23 inspired that because
Mm.
I always felt moved by the verse that says, He leadeth me by the still waters and restores my
Restoring my
soul.
soul. Mm.
That always makes me feel peaceful. It always makes me feel covered, provided for, taken care of. And that's what really inspired the business name, Soul Restoration, where we restore your soul, where my mission is to nurture, restore, and empower people to health and wholeness. And as they achieve that, it redefines what's possible, right? Liberates your potential and redefines what's possible.
Oh,
And
say that one again.
so,
That's another tongue
yes,
for the people. Say it
it
again.
will liberate, it will liberate your potential and
Liberate.
redefine what's possible. Because sometimes we have a cap on what we think is possible. But once you are restored and recalibrated to your divine self, sky's the limit. Forget the cap. Anything is possible. So bump the cap. So, so what's next for me is I have been a part of a group practice, a therapy practice. And following my girls moving in with their dad, I started to transition the business, and that's pretty much where it is now.
Okay.
I am gradually closing out the therapy practice
Okay.
to grow and expand the coaching practice. And so I am a huge fan of personal development. And in my 20s, I had begun to do some transformational work. And that's where I got my introduction to coaching. And what I saw in these weekend seminars were that people were getting breakthroughs with velocity, okay? At a rate with this coaching model that I didn't see happening as quickly with the traditional therapy model. And so, so it was a game changer for me. And so I had obtained my certification as a life coach. And it is these practical tools that I love to empower people with. And so the idea is to close one out, expand the other. And ideally, I'd like to move from just doing one-on-one sessions to hopefully empowering group coaching sessions, because there's something really powerful when people hear other people's stories. And even if you're just coaching one person, other people benefit from that as if it were them. My desire is also to create some online classes because one of the ways that I believe God has in store to prosper me is through passive income. And so I am creating that life where I will have earnings while I'm on the beach somewhere.
Oh, yes.
While I sleep. Right?
I personally believe that is the desire of every dope chick I know.
Okay.
Because that is my dream, along with yours, to be on the beach and rejuvenating my soul and my spirit. And at the same time, the gift and the blessing that God has given me for others, they're getting it 24 hours out of the day. And they don't necessarily need my physical presence, but the anointing is in the work and they get to absorb it as many times as they want. So
yes, I receive it for you and for me. Yes, and all the other dope chicks out there that are manifesting that. So it is.
Yeah, so it is. So it is. I'm so glad you brought up the metaphysics, because a lot of people don't know. Like I was raised on metaphysics, right? My Christian pastor, my Christian Seventh-day Adventist pastor, if you could figure all of that out, was a metaphysician.
Wow.
And so he was a man that was beyond his time in the 70s, a Black man in Brooklyn, within a religion that said it only could be this way. And he got a revelation from God that said, I don't know. I don't know if that's the only way. Here are other ways. And so I'm so grateful for you and this time, because what you've also opened up to me is an opportunity to kind of share parts of my story that most people don't even know, right? That my mom had us meditating at 5 years old. You know, I could meditate for up to an hour as a 5-year-old.
Wow.
And that I used all of that, and this is why I'm doing what I'm doing. For this reason, that our spiritual journeys to Yahweh, to Jehovah, to Christ, to Elohim, however that journey is, God is with us on the
Yes.
journey all the way.
And
All,
and and the fact that it doesn't have to look a certain way, because I know some people who were members of the congregation that you're referring to. And
yeah,
when I used to hear about this pastor's teachings, I said, this is kind of different.
yep,
It wasn't what I am used to referring to as the traditional Christian teaching that I was accustomed to.
right.
It was really profound. It was sort of like this breakthrough, um, psycho
Mhm.
spiritual,
Yep,
deep. Um, and to me, it gave a deeper meaning to the principles that Jesus taught, but
yep,
also practicality. Where I don't want to walk out of a sermon uncertain about how to apply the information that
that's it.
I've gotten, right? I don't want to just be moved in the moment. And then once I leave, I don't know, like, how does this fit in with my life? And
Yep.
so that really is what metaphysics has brought, a more intimate relationship with God
Mhm.
and the experience of being made in his image and likeness and seeing how I can create too.
Yes.
It's phenomenal.
It's phenomenal.
It's a
It is
game changer.
phenomenal. It's a game changer. And it's so funny because you have me thinking like maybe 15, my daughter's 17, about 15 years ago, I preached a psychospiritual dynamic sermon on practical application. So what you've
Wow.
just done for me is I'm going to go see if I can find it,
Yes.
to see if I could find my notes.
Hmm.
But it was psychospiritual dynamics and practical application. And I truly believe that this whole conversation has been divine. Our connection, I think from the foundation of the world, God knew that we would connect on Lincoln University's campus, that God knew that our journeys would bring us here to this moment. And that so many women, far beyond that, who you and I can imagine, are going to be
Mm.
blessed and transformed by everything you shared today. I,
Praise
I
God.
believe it in my soul that there's a woman out there that needed to hear your story.
Thank you. Thank you.
Mm,
And I love the idea of you going back to get that sermon out because I feel like we are on a new wave
mm,
and there's been an upgrade and people are leveling up on their consciousness
yeah,
and the world is ready for the kind of spirituality that you are referring to.
yeah,
So I think the time is now
yeah,
and it is very appropriate to
yeah.
be sharing that information.
Amen. I
Yeah.
will. I will. I promise you, I will. And if I don't find it, I'm
Mhm.
going to spend time in prayer with God to reignite
Yeah.
whatever it was that He gave me to share at that time.
Yeah. And that might even be better because there's probably an upgraded level up
Woo!
version to that.
Good girl, some life has been lived.
Yes. Absolutely. That would be very timely. Very timely.
Yeah. So before we go, please tell everybody again, your company, how they can find you, and any special events, anything special that you're offering that people can connect with you, so their soul can be restored.
Yeah, so my business is Soul Restoration, and you can reach out to me on IG. My handle is Soul Restoration LLC. And if you reference that you heard about me on this podcast, I'll give you a discount.
Hey,
Yes.
hear that, everybody? Listen,
Yes.
don't look, I'm telling you right now, I know this woman, and she's not going to be like, mark my words, in a year, you all will be clamoring. Be like, I remember hearing that Tanora on the Dope
Yes.
Chicks Journey podcast. And by then you'll only be getting them e-courses unless you leveled up your
Okay.
emotional and your financial prosperity to be able to
Right.
get that good one-on-one.
Yes. You got it. You got it.
Anyway, I love you like cook food. You know, that's my
Yes.
saying. In the Caribbean, cook food is like, ooh, it's soul to the life.
Yes.
So I love you like cook food. Thank you for sharing your spiritual journey on the Dope Chicks podcast. If you love what you heard, everyone, subscribe, like, share. My son tells me to do this all the time. He says, point down, Ma.
Yes.
So I'm doing this on behalf of my amazing 15-year-old son. He's like, hit the button,
Yeah.
like, subscribe, and share. And we're dropping Dope Chicks Spiritual Journey podcast every week. So check us out next week for the next amazing woman sharing her journey. And I love you. I love you, T. Love you, love you, love you. Later, good family. Later, good family.